Welcome, everybody, to the People's Music Network for Songs of Freedom and Struggle. This is us. It's Friday, April 8th, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Great to have you all here. We've got a great group of artists today sharing songs of freedom and struggle, as we often do here at the People's Music Network. And I just wanted to say, there's a lot of interesting events coming up through PMN. Check out our website, peoplesmusic.org. We're doing these song swaps on a regular basis, but we also have things like for songwriters out there. If you're looking for a community of people who are, interested in developing the craft of songwriting, this is a really great community to get involved with, because we meet on a monthly basis actually doing song critique with each other. And that is coming up the last Monday of the month. So go to peoplesmusic.org under online events. There's Songs of the Spirit. There is, that's a really great thing we do on Sunday morning, where people are sharing songs that really are of the Spirit, and easily learnable songs. That kind of goes back to one of our old traditions at the in-person gatherings. And we are talking about getting in person again in the future. Right now we're doing a virtual convergence. The summer convergence is going to be June 3rd through 5th, and that will be on Zoom. But what we're going to be integrating into that this particular summer is a conversation about kind of more regional organizing within the network. It's been awesome during this whole pandemic time. I mean, one of the cool things about it has been connecting with artists from very far away. But one of the things we also want to do is use our existing network to organize also on a regional basis. And we're encouraging PMN members throughout the network to organize regionally and put on some song swaps that are really highlighting some of the music and songs that are coming out of specific cities, specific regions of the country, and parts of the world. So be in touch about that, and save the date, June 3rd through 5th. I just want to say that our mission as the People's Music Network is that we are here to sustain and grow a diverse community of performing artists, activists, and allies that are using music, poetry, and other art forms as catalysts for a just and peaceful world. And doing that in the context of song sharing is really about keeping the tradition alive, sharing our songs, and enjoying what that brings to our hearts as well. So one of the things you can do if you want to get the live stream out, I'm going to just drop this into the chat, is go ahead and post that message onto your social media. That gives the link to the live stream we're doing on YouTube right now. It's a great way to share what we're doing. Lyrics, a lot of people put in their lyrics to their songs when they registered. I can put those up on screen if you want that to happen. Just let me know ahead of time. And in the link, there is a lyrics link for this event, and that is also in the chat. And then we just want to kind of do some verbal encouragement, a way of getting people to know one another, to experience one another's songs. So right before you introduce yourself and before you introduce your song, think about offering a little word of love and appreciation for the artists who came before you. And one of the best ways, I think, to appreciate a songwriter is not to just say, oh, you are the best, whatever, it's but to say, hey, I heard something in what you just did and it moved me, if it did move you. Truthful is really the key. What caught your attention about that song? We want to be listening to one another in that process, and certainly to do that through writing throughout the entire event. And we're just going to try, we got a little bit of time for conversation on either side, but generally the performances are 5 minutes. And with that, I'm really excited to introduce our very first performer for today, and that's Dave Tarlo. Dave, come on up. You're the first one. You get to get us started off. Tell us where you're coming from.
I don't have to talk about anybody else.
No, but you know what? We'll call on you for the last performer, and then you can complete the circle when we get to the end. Okay.
All right.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you. Well, let's say, aside from Justice Jackson, the big news these days, of course, is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. There's been a lot of discussion about what all this means, and while I certainly condemn the invasion, the U.S. and NATO hardly have clean hands. So I decided to pair two songs, one by Mark Levy, posted to PMN a few weeks ago, called You Can't Be a Pacifist, And the second one of the best-known songs from the Spanish Civil War, the first big anti-fascist war, where far from being pacifists, thousands came from all over the world, including the U.S., to fight the Franco-Hitler-Mussolini dictatorships. The songs are kind of two sides of a coin. So, let's see how this goes. Yum digga 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 yum digga die, yum digga 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 yum digga die. You can't be a pacifist and be rooting for Putin. He can't be for peaceful change when all his guns are tootin'. All is charging armies and they don't know who they're shooting. You can't be a pacifist and be rooting for Putin. Yum digga 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 yum digga die, yum digga 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 yum digga die. You can't say that you're for peace and line yourself with NATO. Missile ships and aircraft ready to defend the state. Oh, track record in foreign lands is really not so great. Oh, you can't say you're for the peace and line yourself with NATO. Yum digga 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 yum digga die, yum digga 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 yum digga die. You can't say you hate the war, but we must fight in Ukraine. Father's sons might have to go, but it is still inhumane. Russia and the USA have nukes and both are insane. You can't say you hate the war, but we must fight in Ukraine. Viva la Quince, Brigada, rumba, 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 la. Viva la Quince, Brigada, rumba, 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 la. Che sia cubierto de gloria, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. Che sia cubierto de gloria, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. Luchamos contra los moros, rumba, 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 la. Luchamos contra los moros, rumba, 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 la. Mercenarios y fascistas, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. Mercenarios y fascistas, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. En el frente de Arama, rumba, 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 la. En el frente de Arama, rumba, 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 la. No tenemos ni aviones, ni tanques, ni cañones, ay Manuela. No tenemos ni aviones, ni tanques, ni cañones, ay Manuela. España, rumba, 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 la. Ya salimos de España, rumba, 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 la. Por luchar otros frentes, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. Por luchar otros frentes, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. Viva la Quince, Brigada, rumba, 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 la. Viva la Quince, Brigada, rumba, 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 la. Que se ha cubierto de gloria, ay Manuela, ay Manuela. Que se ha cubierto de gloria, ay Manuela, ay Manuela.
Bravo. Bravo. And I know you sing that song with Hudson Valley Sally, too.
Yeah, we do.
It's beautiful. Really great.
You like the pairing?
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's interesting.
I mean, maybe without getting into like the biggest political dialogue ever, you could just sort of like say a word of like how that runs through your head, like those two things.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. Like, what do you?
No, I don't want to take time on that. You know,
Okay,
it's like
that's fair enough.
The music speaks for itself, and there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions.
I appreciate you saying that because we do have a tradition within People's Music Network of like the music should, hopefully it does. It should speak for itself.
Yeah.
Some of these songs, like the Viva la Quince Brigada, are old songs too, and history changes. So
Yeah.
anyway, we love it. Okay, hey Barbara, you are up next. Barbara Dyskant, welcome.
Hi there.
Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
I am incredibly lucky because I get to talk about David's song. And I mean, in the risk of sounding too general, my first word is brilliant. The way you juxtaposed something really easy to listen to. I mean, gosh, I can't think of a better way to introduce this to skeptics than to sing that pointedly sort of sardonic, humorous thing. It's easy to listen to and it makes the point. And then going seamlessly into the Ukrainian, I assume that's a Ukrainian song, am I right? And whatever it was.
No, it's a song from the Spanish Civil War.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To show my hearing. But whatever it is, it magnifies it. You get people comfortable, and then you just build that tension in that song. And your instrument and your voice are perfect. So what can I say? If I could sing it like that, I would sing it. As it is, I'll have to sing something else. You do it uniquely, David, and I am so glad I got to hear it. Anyway, that's my comment. What I'm going to sing, I ran this by a few people. I didn't know whether it was appropriate. It's a song about grief. And a lot of it is tied in with, if someone, many people who are terminally ill are ill because of environmental stuff like fracking and things like that. And the war in the Ukraine is now loosening things about oil and fracking over here. So it's not only polluting out there, it's going to be killing people here too in terms of disease. I will never know whether the situation I'm singing about was caused by that or not. But I just don't want anyone else to ever have to go through this. This is a song that I wrote after my husband was diagnosed with a terminal illness and passed less than a year later. And it's called Loving You Now. And it's about seizing the moment when you have it. That's the other thing, is that, doing things now rather than waiting. Anyway, I'm going to share it with you guys. It's not a funny one, but it's real. Oh, what the heck is this? Okay, sorry. I need a new microphone stand. I'm tired of this. There. Oh, come on. There we go. You promised 10 years from now you'd teach our grandson to drive. Now I'm wondering if in 6 months you'll be alive. We looked forward to years together in our simple home. Now I'm wondering how I'll face the years alone. And so I'm loving you now, loving you here today. Wishing right now, wishing that you could stay and love with me forever, but forever has gone away. You said, watch me now while I put the storm windows on. You're gonna have to do it when I'm gone. You always want the best for me, this I know. But how can I hear you when my heart's crying, please don't go. And so I'm loving you now, loving you here today. wishing right now, wishing that you could stay and love with me forever, but forever has gone away. I stare at the lovely sight of you, the same warm smile I always knew, sleek and strong as you've always been. Who'd believe there's a monster devouring you from within? The mountains are still, the trees all look the same. Nobody seems to notice the world has changed. How can I pull it together, go on somehow, when there's no future to look to, we just have now. And so I'm loving you now, loving you here today, wishing right now, wishing that you could stay and love with me forever, but forever has gone away. We gotta make each day forever, forget each moment never, enjoy each day but forever, forever, forever. And I'm loving you now, loving you here today, loving you now, loving you here today.
Wow. What a beautiful song. So moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara. Wow. Let's bring up our next performer. Yeah, and I just got to say it's really touching to hear that song about your husband. Neil, what else you got to say?
Yeah, Barbara, it's a very moving song. I could feel from some of it, reminds me of some of my own experiences, but I felt like it's the power of music to complete something, to complete the interruption, because you know, cancer is most of it environmentally caused, as you know, and it's rude. It interrupts. It's not like a normal kind of death that we work with and go into, and so it, you know, and I could feel that your singing this helps you to create your image of your husband and make it whole somehow. So it's a beautiful song.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, my song is my attempt to summarize the Industrial Revolution in 4 verses, with relevant commentaries about the future. Perhaps I'm biting off more than I can chew, who knows, but... It's called Power. We used to keep our houses warm by burning logs at night. Filled our lamps with whale oil to cast a little light. Our sailors crossed the rolling sea safe in their wooden hulls, and sang their lonely shanties to the herrings and the gulls. We powered an economy that
displaced our forests, nearly all a whale. But his horses pulled our carriages and made our wagons roll, till industry pushed onwards, run by steam and coal. The whales that made it through were saved by Pennsylvania oil, and overnight petroleum came gushing from the soil, and mothers shook their fists at all the cars rushing by, and taught their kids to look both ways and not up at the sky. Their men folks left the horses, traded feed bags for a wrench. Pretty soon they'll have a Tesla and a laptop on the bench, 'cause gasoline and diesel took us pretty far, but you can drive around the world in your electric car. And rocket ships and anything that's loud. Then they grow up to be engineers, still dreaming of that fire, and they won't quit until they put the sun inside a jar. And then their sons will want to put a colony on Mars, and maybe then they'll want to shoot a rocket at the stars. But wiser hearts say power has somewhere else to go, and the energy inside us is meant to help us grow. Aborigines will tell you, and the Lakota too, that the undiscovered country is right inside of you. That's where you'll find adventure, that's where the challenge lies, and that's how we will talk to our neighbors in the skies. Let's leave fusion and uranium behind with other toys, and offer real adventures to our little girls and boys. And you won't wake up the chickens with that gutsy Harley roar, but with the sun for your power, you don't need more.
Four verses. That's a lot of history to pack in.
And the future.
In the future. Thank you for that song. Wow. Hey, let's bring on our next performer, Rick Ward. Hey, do you have a word to offer our brother Neil? Oops. Yeah, go ahead. Hey, Rick, I'm not getting audio from you, but you're not muted. Try that one more time. So there's probably an issue with your mixer or something like that, but we're gonna.
Okay. Oh, my webcam instead of my good microphone. Maybe it's good enough. I can't get my good mic to work today.
Oh,
can you hear me?
I hear you.
Can you hear the guitar all right?
Yeah, you sounded. It's muddy. It's too bad we don't have your good microphone.
It's not so good. Well, I don't know why.
How about this, Rick? Give me a phone
I
call.
see why. It's not plugged in.
See, plugging it in is the basics. Yeah.
That would be, I got everything else hooked up. Or in 2 seconds, I'll have it. Now, question is, okay.
All right, Rick, we're going to give you a little time to work on that. And what I'd like to see is, do we have Bittersweet on here? Chime in if you're here, Bittersweet.
Hi, Ben. How are you? I see your lovely headphones and the poster behind you. I made it.
Yeah.
The thing was originally.
Yeah. So
Hang on. Yeah. Hi. My thing was originally scheduled for an hour, but then it turned into just a preliminary thing. So I guess it was probably about 20 minutes. So yes, I did make it in time.
Good to see you. Well, do you want to offer a word to Neil on this History of the Industrial Revolution song?
Actually, I was doing a text about the cancer in the mining camps, so I didn't hear all of it. It was very moving. And certainly I connected with Larry Smoot with the Labor Heritage Federation in New York City. So I think it was something they'd probably be interested in and probably deeply appreciate hearing about it. So anyway, they're on the web and easy to find. And I certainly encourage so many PMM members I know are deeply involved with the union and labor movements. And that's what they're into with the Labor Heritage Foundation. The fellow who contacted me after I sent them an inquiry by email was Larry Smoot, S-M-O-O-T. So again, he's on their website, and you can connect with him. I think he's called the communications coordinator, sort of like you.
Yeah. No, Larry's. I've worked with him. He's great at the Labor Heritage Foundation. Definitely check out the Labor Heritage Foundation.
That's wonderful. I'm glad it was.
Well, again, thank you, Neil, for your song. And Bittersweet, will you tell us what you're going to sing for us today?
I'm not singing. I think it was listed as something to do with poetry, as I remember. It is a song. It's a lyric, but the actual melody I'm working on, which is based on, good traditional music heritage is going way back, isn't quite finished yet. So I thought I'd order as a melodic. I might sing like part of one verse, a little bit.
Let's hear it.
I've got together, and otherwise it'll be a lyrical poem. So I've just got to get the other place where I've got the lyrics. If you just wait a second, I'll go get those.
Okay, so
I'm just getting the smartphone. I've got the lyrics.
I see. All right. Well, welcome everybody to the People's Music Network. And we've got some great acts coming right up. Hopefully Rick has got his microphone squared away, and really looking forward to that song. After Bittersweet, we have Paul McKenna, and he's here. Good to see that. And then John Kloss will be after Paul, and he's here. Mary McCaffrey, Paul Kaplan, Tom Cooney, Michael and Nell, Mark Hecker, Cleo, and then I'll be at the end. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna move on actually, because we want to keep it moving. So Paul McKenna, I'm gonna bring you up now. Sorry about that little lull in the moment, but Paul, tell us what you'll be singing for us today.
Okay, Lucy Murphy sent around an email the other day informing us that April 9th is Paul Robeson's birthday. So I thought this might be a good time to share a song that I wrote about Paul Robeson a little while ago. Actually, it was like 20 years ago. The tune is Deep River, which is a spiritual, and it's also a song that Paul Robeson often sang. I don't quite have Paul Robeson's range, so in the bridge of this song, instead of jumping an octave, I kept it on the same note. I spent a long time trying to figure out how to do this song with my more limited range, and I finally figured out that I could just, instead of jumping an octave, I could skip the leap. So I'm going to give myself a chord just to, okay, here we go. Everybody hear me okay?
I hear you, Paul.
Okay. Sorry. Paul Robeson, we join today in memory. Paul Robeson, your fighting spirit we remember.
Paul Robeson. You worked to build a just world, Paul Robeson. You stood up for what you believed in. You sang with eloquence and power. You spoke with dignity. You raised your voice for freedom and for equality. Paul Robeson, you lived a life of struggle. Paul Robeson, you led us all by your example. Oh, you were vilified and blacklisted. Your voice they tried to drown. But you refused to be silenced or ever to back down. Paul Robeson, your voice will never falter. Paul Robeson, its sound will echo through the ages. Paul Robeson, your legacy we honor. Paul Robeson, your fighting spirit we remember. Thank you. Bravo. Thank you, Paul. Do you want to say any more about the song, where it came from, how it came to be?
Well, I sort of I've done this with other people. I wrote a song about Cesar Chavez to the tune of De Colores, which is a song that's associated with the Farm Workers Union.
Yeah.
So I kind of had the idea of taking Deep River, which was a song that I associate with Paul Robeson, and using that to write a tribute. So anyway, so I wrote the song. I did include it on my CD, which I released in 2016. And as I mentioned, I for a long time I was like, how do I do that middle part? And I really wanted to record it, but I could not make that octave leap in my range. So I finally figured out, I just sang, you raised your voice instead of you raised your voice. So that enabled me to, actually record it. So so it's I really like the song. I haven't done a whole lot with it other than I did put it on my CD, but
which people can get at paulmckennamusic.com.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope people enjoyed the song. Anyway,
Thank you.
It's in honor of his birthday, which is April 9th.
Tomorrow. Happy birthday, Paul Robeson. All right, so we're going to go next to John Kloss, and then we're going to go back to Rick, and then we're going to go back to Bittersweet. So, John Kloss, can we go to you now? And do you have any words to say?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, great. I was sitting calmly there, thinking like, yeah, I got lots of time. There. Okay. Oops. The guitar should be good. Comes through?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Paul, for that song. I was busily writing something in the chat about it. How it's a great tribute to Paul Robeson. I really I tried to hold up a picture there about Paul Robeson came to visit Sudbury back in the 50s when the Mine Mill and Smelter Workers Union were big in Sudbury and were representing lots of workers in Sudbury. So I was kind of that's a picture that I really treasure, and although I wasn't around at that point when he came to Sudbury. But if you ever get a chance, check out I don't know if you've seen him singing at the construction of the Sydney Opera House in Melbourne, Australia, or Sydney, Australia, I guess. And it's quite a piece, and what a wonderful singer too. So thanks a lot for that, Paul. I'm John Claus from Sudbury, Ontario. It's the original territory of the Nishnabeg people, particularly the Tikmikshing and the Wanapitei First Nations, as well as the Métis people. And it's kind of appropriate that I recognize that today, because I'm going to sing a song that was written almost 60 years ago, it's hard to believe, by Buffy St. Marie. And it was later done by a number of people, covered by lots of people. Donovan was the kind of the big hit of the Glenn Campbell covered it as well. And Buffy wrote this. She said that she wrote it as an attempt to explain the personal responsibility that we all have for war. So it's called The Universal Soldier. He's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. Been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, but he knows he always will. Kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for democracy, he's fighting for the Reds, he's fighting for the USA. And he's fighting for Japan, thinks we'll put an end to war this way. Fighting for democracy, he's fighting for the Reds. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on the wall. But without him, how would Hitler have condemned him at Dachau? Without him, Caesar would have stood alone. He's the one who gives his body as a weapon of the war. And without him, all this killing can't go on. He's the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. His orders come from far away no more. They come from him and you and me, and brothers, can't you see? This is not a way we put an end to war. This is not a way we put an end to war.
Bravo. Thank you very much, John.
Such a wonderful song, and Buffy's been a great progressive force in the music industry for years and years and years. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We're going to bring on Rick Ward. Bring Rick back.
Yes. How's that? Sounding better?
You bet.
All right. That is a killer tune, man. It says it like no other tune, man. I remember when that came out. Thanks for bringing that to us. It's still, unfortunately, just as true today as it was then. You know, just as in the market, we vote with our dollars, we vote with our feet, and we vote with what we choose to support in our hearts and minds too. So that's why the real edge is right here, man. Thanks for reminding us of that. All right.
And make sure you have original sound on, Rick.
I will
on
double
Zoom.
check. It says original sound off at the moment.
Hit
now
it
it says that it's on. So now does that sound even better? Yes?
It should. Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm going to sing a country song for y'all now, if you don't mind. I'm running out of the other kind, so y'all going to have to forgive me. And in honor of the good people that blessed the days of my youth with kindness. Somebody asked me, do you like country music? I said, yes, but it depends on which country. Now, it was Bill Clinton who said it. I get with my speechwriters, and first I say what I want to say, then we work on what I should say. That's kind of what these songs are becoming. At first I let them have it, but then, as I am writing toward common ground, I wind up speaking as to friends, and that includes the opposition. I mean, everybody. Seems to be in opposition, I know. I'll admit I wrote this song just for fun. The political part of it kind of just came along as an afterthought. It's not even front and center on the page. But what it did, it took two ideas and put them side by side and let the listener draw their own conclusion. In verse 3, it says, let's talk about the love we know, right? And anything less than that, I'd leave it in the barn if I were you. I wouldn't bring it in the house. I'm talking about the inflammatory, divisive rhetoric coming from the Republican side. But then we have, right next to that, 2 verses later, talk to me about Tennessee, where the river runs wild and free, where the people there do believe God sits on his throne. The song is saying, all right, check it out. This is what we're doing, but this is who we are. It just puts those two things side by side. So that's how you might say it's a political song, just a little bit under the radar. And now think about this for a minute. Willie Nelson is still much loved at almost 90 because he has a positive message. That's the genius of Willie. And I think we all can take a lesson from that. It's best to lead with love. So here's a tune that I have lined up for y'all today. It's called Red Dirt Road. Let's bring out the steel guitar, a little something in an old food jar. Talk about the mountain men on the old banjo. Tell me about a red dirt road. Let's go and visit with Uncle Joe. Sing 'em all in a row by the riverside farm. Let's lift another glass of beer for the reason I'm standing here. 2 people that fell in love such a long time ago. And you know it's the real McCoy, out of nothing a baby boy, and just somebody's pride and joy, stepping out of thin air. Let's talk about the love we know. It's everywhere you want to go. It's everything you want to be. For all that we know, if there's anything that's something else, you might as well keep it on the shelf. If it's good for nothing else, leave it in the barn. Right out of thin air, my love appeared. I was minding my business, I had no idea she could light up the whole place just by walking on by. Just a smile on a pretty face, twinkle in her eye. Talk to me about Tennessee, where the river runs wild and free. People that do believe God sits on his throne. Way up in the mountain, way up on the trail, we can find the place I know that love prevails. Somebody bring out the steel guitar, a little something in an old food jar. All about the mountain men on the old banjo. Tell me about a red dirt road, go and visit with Uncle Joe. Sing them all in a row by the Riverside Farm. Come on by any Saturday night, 7:30. Bring your guitar now.
I'll be there. Thank you, Rick.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you for that country tune. Love it.
You
Hey,
betcha.
we're going to go now to Bittersweet. Welcome. I hope you got your words there.
Yeah, I got everything ready. I had it ready before, but it was sort of
Good.
surprise. I think you sent me a 4:30.
Surprise!
Woo! Okay, anyway, my mother told me she was sailing the day before I was born and then took me sailing not long after I was born. So I have this picture of me in a basket in their little 16-foot sloop rig sailboat sailing with my parents there, of course, taking care of me as a baby, and kept on up until I left home. When I went off to college and playing music and all. Okay, it's, as I said before, the lyrics. I'll see if I can maybe hum along or something to the first. First there's a chorus, and I won't do the chorus as I would with the song every time after song, but I'll just go through the chorus once and then do the verses. So it's, my yes to sailing, let's all go sailing across the waters, the blue ocean waters, shipwrecks sighing, people are crying. They came so many, yes, I've seen many, to home I sail the seas. Back to a lyric. Blue waters call me sailing ever free. The sun above me shines for you and me. He knows about us and our sacred site with truth forever in the Lord's awful might. Miracles raining, we go forth aiming, to home I sail the seas. I've lived aboard ship, a very big ship, forever sailing, my love is sailing, to jibe and to tack, to port and then back, starboard charting, my seaways starting, to home I sail the seas. We came with John B., my folks and yes me, to sail the oceans, the peaceful oceans, topsails are furled, topsails and full jib, compass and charts give, to home I sail the seas. Feel the swells and waves rise, our Bowditch paradise, nautical and nature leading, navigation heeding. The sextant shoots stars, my punt rowed with long oars, to home I sail the seas. The cook below deck in galley with grub steak, peeling potatoes, they're safe for later, chowder and stews cooked, bread hot and fish hooked, crews are waiting, they are always waiting, to home I sail the seas. Seaweed and kelp float atop the water note, Sargasso seas far below the night stars, Moons lead to sunrise, sirens sing their bold lies, in chromatic melodies, to home I sail the seas. We'll drop our anchor, another seashore, our vessel floating, the first mate quoting, Coleridge's albatross flying, full winds a-sighing, to home I sail the seas. Halyards start lifting, the white seas shifting, the sheets be pulling, with winds fulfilling. Sail onward, sailing forward, swells are rising, waves delighting, to home I sail the seas. Ocean circuit, the racing circuit, spinnaker filling, mizzen sail willing, the winds a blowing, the breezes knowing, charted courses compass endorses, to home I sail the seas. The gulls speak squawking, with tern birds talking. Home is a calling, oh yes, me darling, our voyage ending, we're coming tending our peaceful journey, and yes, we are weary. To home I sail the seas, to home I sail the seas, to home I sail the seas, to home I sail the seas. The end.
Bravo. Wow, what a rhyme scheme. Cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope we can all one day go sailing, and maybe it would be on the Clearwater, as they do have public sails that they take. I think it's from the 72nd Street on the west side of Manhattan Docks. Thank you all.
Thank you for that piece, Bittersweet. Paul Kaplan, turning it over to you. Welcome, Paul, our next performer.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I have a new song here that I wrote specifically for the Greenwich Village Folk Festival that I was part of last Sunday. I've been wanting to write it for a long time about the days that I spent in the village back in the 70s and 80s. And I hope it means something even if you have not done that or been to Greenwich Village. But it has a lot of names and that refers to. And if you don't know any of them or most of them, look them up because they're important people in history of music, really. And I think that's all I want to say. Oh, it is focused around a famous intersection of Bleecker Street and McDougal Street. Okay. Nothing could be bleaker than McDougal. To see it now, well, it's a crying shame. The rents have gone sky high. We've watched the music die. Greenwich Village will never be the same. Going down the stairs to step into the gaslight. There was magic in that unassuming space. We were tapping with our shoes to Fred McDowell's blues after Bonnie Raitt had opened up with Freebo on the bass. In the background I could hear the sweetest echoes of the ones who brought their genius to that room. Odetta, Siebel, Dylan Oaks, and all the other folks. Their voices still were ringing from that 60s sonic boom. Nothing could be bleaker than McDougal. To see it now, well, it's a crying shame. The rents have gone sky high. We've watched the music die. Greenwich Village will never be the same. Then another time, another generation, we set up a music co-op down the street. Angie Page and Jack Hardy took us to that party, and we all made lifelong friends from the people we would meet. Nothing could be bleaker than McDougal. To see it now, well, it's a crying shame. The rents have gone sky high. We've watched the music die. Greenwich Village will never be the same. Now the gaslight and speakeasy are but memories. They've been rock and many more have left us here. The bottom line is gone, Folk City has moved on, and nobody gets live music with their $14 beer. Nothing could be bleaker than McDougal. Yes, the bitter end is just around the corner. The rents have gone sky high, we've watched the music die. Let's sing it one more time, my fellow mourner. And nothing could be bleaker than McDougal. To see it now, well, it's a crying shame. The rents have gone sky high, we've watched the music die. Greenwich Village will never be the same. Greenwich Village will never be the same.
Wow, you had me so well on the first verse. I was like, you really combine this sort of mournfulness with sort of jokiness. I really liked that.
Yeah, I don't know if it works, but maybe it does.
Is it a new song?
Yeah, that's about a week old. Yeah.
Wow, brilliant. Let's bring on our next performer, and I think he's a first-timer at People's Music Network. Really happy to welcome Tom Cooney to this circle. Hi, Tom.
Hey, thank you, Ben. Yes, a first-timer. I know some of the other members, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, do you have a word for Paul?
I do. I love the parade of famous names in that. I love the commentary about gentrification. It's such a pervasive thing across the country. It helps you value the spirit that was there, and it's kind of a sad song, but it kind of highlights the good spirit that was there. Really enjoyed that. I've got a tune, an original tune I wrote in 2015 called The Gilded Age, and it's about the seeds of the Gilded Age in the 1830s in the linen mills of Lowell, Massachusetts. I lift bales in the mill of this river town, 6 days from 5 to 5, cotton in, cloth out, since I left Stowe, it ain't much of a life. I live in Belvedere, in a cold water flat, me and Sarah, soon will come James. And we lost little Martha, couldn't afford the dock, and I pay with my soul every day. But there's bread on the table, there's a coal in the fire. I work hard as I'm able, I never mess with desire. I keep my head down, my mouth shut, the meek won't inherit today. Living and dying in the Gilded Age. Well, I'm a 14-hour day mill girl. I left my daddy's farm near Keene. I'm paid $2 a day on the bobbin box, and they're cutting my pay again. You know, some of the girls we've been talking, saying, who the hell has the right to treat somebody like a slave or a fool? I got their backs, oh, and they got mine. You see, I put bread on the table and a coal in the fire. I'm strong and I'm smart and I'm able. My heart and head, they are full of desire. I keep my head up, I keep my mouth proud. The meek shall inherit one day. Living and dying in the Gilded Age. Money flows from the city of spindles, swifter than the Merrimack, by the binary code of the power loom and the sweat running down our backs. But never to the families and mill girls of this acrid sepia town. Some say it's just the way of this country. You work harder, someday it might trickle down. We don't believe in that fable. We're setting this century on fire. There's room for all at the table. We keep our hearts and heads higher. Keep both arms open but one fist closed. We're hungry and righteous today. We're living and dying in the Gilded Age. Don't you ever come back this way. We're living and dying in the Gilded Age.
Bravo, Tom. Man, there's a lot of gems in there, lyrically and in the story, and a lot of resonance. You know, and you know, one of the things when we have a new PMN member like yourself, I like to give them the opportunity to maybe say a little more about, like, how did you get into music? How did you learn about the People's Music Network? How did you start writing songs about topics such as the Gilded Age?
That was a typical. I started in my teens. An older brother had gone away to college and learned guitar, and he taught me a few chords one Christmas when he came back, and that was it. And I was songwriting by the time I was 14 or 15, and have always been in music, but mostly had a career somewhere else. I enjoy the heck out of songwriting. I host a couple of podcasts on it, and I perform quite a bit as well. And I just love the craft. I also teach. And in the People's Music Network, I ran into members who were guests on my shows. Jason Baker out of Burlington, Vermont. He's wonderful. And two of a kind, Jenny and David Heitler-Clevens out of Philly, are also on my show. Just another really energetic couple. And I've always known who you guys are and just meant to kind of come on over and join and listen, and never got around to it. So it's nice to be here. I can tell you that.
It's really nice to have you. Thanks for that introduction. Do you want to tell us, like, what part of the country you live in?
I live in between Philadelphia and the Lehigh Valley. So I'm a member of songwriting communities in both of those areas. Up at Godfrey Daniels, down in Philly in the Philadelphia Folk Song Society and other groups. Yeah.
Well, thanks for showing up. Thanks for bringing your beautiful song. We got Neil Dale writing in the chat. Beautiful images, Tom. I spend a lot of time in Lowell. That's part of Massachusetts. And I mean, you did talk about the Merrimack Valley in the song. And the buildings have been pretty much transformed, but the grinding work is still there. We kind of live off their backs and their buildings.
Oh, yeah. And it's a beautiful National Historic Park there, too. You can really go there and get the feel of what was happening. It's really beautiful. One quick pitch. I'm playing a great benefit this Sunday for No Place for Hate. Come Together 2020 is the name of it. Come Together 2020. You can find it. And it's No Place for Hate. It sponsors all kinds of anti-bullying and other programs from Philadelphia right up through the Lehigh Valley. And if you get a chance to listen or donate, that'd just be wonderful.
Thank you, Tom. And put that into the chat so we can share that with everybody here.
Thanks, Ben.
So we're going to go on to our next performer, Michael and Nell. Very interested to hear what you have to say about that song from Tom.
Well, I want to say that is a perfect transitional song to what we're going to do today, because, okay, let's see. It says unmute yourself. Unmute.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I'm getting this up on this screen. Because tell them what we're going to do, Michael.
Well, we're going to do a song by Joe Hill. We do a little...
About Joe Hill.
About Joe Hill. No.
He didn't write the music.
He didn't write the music.
He wrote the words.
Joe Hill's Last Will. Oh, yeah, okay. John McCutcheon wrote the music. This is Joe Hill's Last Will. And it's interesting that Lowell, Massachusetts comes up in your song because we mentioned Joel. We mentioned Lowell in our Joe Hill presentation.
Joe Hill Roadshow.
Yeah. As the location of the famous 1912
Bread and Roses strike. 10,000 workers went out, led by the women, and Yep.
So you have a podcast, and we should connect on that.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like we have a lot in common. And what were you going to say about the?
We just want to make an announcement. I posted it earlier, but we are doing the world premiere of our new video, War Machine, this Sunday on YouTube at 6 p.m. Central Time. That would be 7 p.m. for you guys on the East Coast. And I put the link in earlier. Mm-hmm. So please come and see it. Michael has worked his little butt off on this video of our song War Machine. So
my butt was little to begin with. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we just decided that we would do this. Just a little background for you guys don't know the whole story about Joe Hill. I assume most people on here do know the story. Joe Hill was executed on November the 19th, 1915. He was framed for 2 murders he did not commit, and the establishment really wanted to get him because he was a very effective organizer because of all the great songs that he wrote. And so the night before he died, before he was to be shot by a firing squad, he wrote a poem that he called My Last Will. And the words that we're going to sing for you right now are Joe Hill's last words, hours before he was executed. And the music was written by John McCutcheon, the wonderful folk singer John McCutcheon. And
Joe Hill never lost his sense of humor, his sense of irony. Because his last telegram to Big Bill Haywood, who was the leader of the industrial workers of the world, last telegram from Joe Hill to Big Bill was, "Could you arrange to have my body hauled to the state line to be buried? Don't want to be found dead in Utah."
Don't want to be found dead in Utah.
He was executed in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, that's.
Here we go. Joe Hill's Last Will. For there is nothing to divide. My kin don't need to fuss and moan. Moss does not cling to a rolling stone. My body, if I could choose, I would to ashes it reduce. Then let the merry breezes blow my dust to where some flowers grow. Some fading flower then would come to life and bloom again. This is my last and final will. Good luck to all of you, Joe Hill.
Michael and Nell, thank you for that song.
You.
Wow. Love that song. Hey, let's bring on our next performer, Cleo Knopf. Cleo, how are you? Share a word with Michael and Nell.
Hello,
here.
Cleo.
Hi, nice to see you. Thank you for that song. I never heard Joe Hill's Last Will put to music, and it's so important for today when we have all these union battles and the Amazon is making way with the first of their unions in Staten Island. And I'm sure Joe Hill would think that he would feel that was one of the flowers, because you know, your song, the story about Joe Hill being framed for murder in order to get rid of him as a great union organizer. I think I mean, it's all the times that's still been happening. I mean, that kind of thing's still happening with, you know, Chris Small, who started the union at Amazon, was fired. But he made this comeback, the flower that Joe Hill spoke of in his last will. So I loved it, and the violin and the guitar are so beautiful together as usual.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
John McCutcheon said that Joe Hill's songs are a 100-year-old version of what is happening today.
Yes, absolutely. And so important to remember these struggles. They kind of give us courage to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm bringing back a song from 1948 by Woody Guthrie called Deportee. There's been a lot of talk about refugees lately and which refugees get to come here and which don't, and all these Mexicans at the border and all the deportations. And so 74 years later, after the plane crash that killed all of these deportees, all these migrant workers being deported, that's still going on, so it's still quite relevant. And by the way, I don't know if you know Tim Hernandez, a poet. He did a lot of research to find out the names of the migrants who were killed on that plane crash, because those names were unknown for over 70 years. And this is what inspired Woody Guthrie to write the song, because only the names of the crew members were published and the rest were just called deportees. The crops are all in and the peaches are rotting. The oranges are piled in their creosote domes. They're flying you back to the Mexican border to pay all your money to wade back again. My father's own father, he waded that river. They took all the money he made in his life. My brothers and sisters, come work in the fruit trees. They rode that truck till they took down and died. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. Some of us are illegal and others not wanted. Our work contract's out and we have to move on. 600 miles to that Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. We died in your hills and we died in your deserts. We died in your valleys, we died on your plains. We died neath your trees and we died in your bushes. Both sides of the river, we died just the same. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon, a fireball of lightning that shook all our hills. Who are all these dear friends scattered like dry leaves? The radio says they are just deportees. Is this the best way we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good fruit? To fall like dry leaves and to rot on the topsoil, and to be called by no name except deportee. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee.
Bravo. Cleo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some of those songs that just really connect us to a sense of righteous indignation about injustices in the world. You carry that in there, and I think that's really important. Appreciate you bringing that to the circle.
Thanks.
Well, I'm going to round it out here tonight, this afternoon, I guess, depending on where you are. But I got kind of another song like along the lines of what Cleo had. You know, this I remember like after. So David Rovics, you know, I grew up in the 1990s in Minneapolis, and David Rovics, who's still touring around and doing great stuff, he came through Minneapolis in the late 90s and sang. It was like he had just performed at some concert or something, and a few of us were hanging out at a party at one of the activist houses, and he pulled out this song by Jim Page, and I just, you know, I love the song swap. It's been part of my life for a long time, and you know, we're remaking that tradition here on Zoom, I suppose, but this song by Jim Page is called Oregon Landslide. And you know, it's a true story that for me captures kind of another angle on this whole righteous indignation feeling, you know, of what it is to live in the capitalist society we're in. So here it goes. There's a donation jar on a cafe counter in a little Oregon town for the children who lost their parents when the mountainside came down. And you put in your folding dollar bill and you go along your way, and you wonder to yourself how it got to be that way, how it got to be that way. Then you see the mills and the work yards with their logs all stacked in rows, and you know it's timber country, and that's how the money flows. and you see the dark green forests 100 miles wide, with their roots all intertwined, holding up the mountainside, holding up the mountainside. There was a family lived on the mountainside in the beautiful evergreen shadows. And when the company came to clear cut, they knew there was gonna be trouble. They took every standing tree as far as could be seen. They must have made a fortune when they picked that mountain clean, when they picked that mountain clean. There were those who cried a warning with what little voice they had, but the logic of the dollar bill is a logic that's gone mad, with their futures held to ransom and the axe all set to fall. They would not be satisfied until they took it all, until they took it all. It rains every winter in Oregon, and the river gives rise to a flood tide. If it hadn't have been for the clear cut, there never would have been a landslide. There never would have been a landslide, and the mountain never would have come down, and there never would have been such a tragedy in that little Oregon town, in that little Oregon town. For there were no trees to hold up that dreadful deadly flow, when 1,000,000 tons of mud and rock came crashing down below, turned the children into orphans with their parents trapped inside. It was murder by profit, and that's how those people died. That's how those people died. So many came to the funeral, and many tears were shed, and many words were spoken, and this is what they said: if there's justice in this world, then let that justice be. For the landslide came from the clear cut, and the clear cut came from the company. It came from the company. There's a donation jar on a cafe counter in a little Oregon town for the children who lost their parents when the mountainside came down. And you put in your folding dollar bill and you go along your way, and you wonder to yourself how it got to be that way, how it got to be that way. Thank you. All right, Paul, I think, wait, who was first? Was it, we talked about Dave Tarlo, that's right.
It was me. It's a powerful, I mean, a song that tells a story is a wonderful thing. And some of us, I think Cleo already wrote, they would not be satisfied until they took it all. Those are fine lyrics. Fine lyrics. Well done, well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, check out Jim Page. He's an amazing songwriter. Been doing great stuff for a long time. So, well, anyway, I think the song swap is over. So we're going to do this again in about 10 days, April 18th, and just spread the word about these song swaps. We're building a circle. Spread the word about the upcoming. I apologize for that noise. That's like the delay of me. But we're going to be doing the Convergence June 3rd through 5th. So keep that on your calendars. And just to sort of like preview a little bit visually here, kind of what's coming up. So here is the next event, the 18th, April 18th. This is all at peoplesmusic.org. Upcoming events, Songs of the Spirit on April 24th. We've got the Songwriters Peer Feedback Session that I mentioned at the beginning on April 25th. April 28th for another song swap. And then we're going to be doing here the PMN Coffee Hour on Sunday, May 1st. That's being organized and led by one of our steering committee members, Gary Allard, and also Lucas Meyer from good old Canada, from Vancouver to be more specific. So thanks again, everybody. And with that, I'll end the live stream, and then folks who are on Zoom can hang out for